Hello, my name is Eva. I'm come from Qingdao University and of Technology. Today I chose the Hofstede's cultural dimensions theory. My topic is indulgence and restraint. The contents is divided into four parts: concept introduction, constraint culture, indulgence culture, and comparative summary. The first part, concept introduction. In this part, I will introduce the basic concept of two cultures and their connection to Chinese culture in my personal opinion. Firstly, indulgence culture. Indulgent culture allows for relatively free fulfillment of personal desires and needs in facing the joy and enjoyment of life. This is a cultural orientation in many Western countries, and of course, many young Chinese people today also have this mindset shift. Secondly, constraint culture. Constraint culture emphasizes the restraint and the regulation of desires, which is a tendency in ethnic Chinese traditional culture, which places greater emphasis on self-restraint and self-discipline. Okay, the second part, indulgence culture. In this part, I will introduce the free expression of the culture of indulgence, which is reflected both in the West and the contemporary China. It's about in the Western countries. In the Western countries, the indulgent culture is reflected in all aspects, but more accurately, the cultural indulgence is not accurate. The word freedom and randomness is better. Most Westerners enjoy happiness they can enjoy at the moment and do not restrict themselves too much. For example, Westerners prefer various outdoor and extreme sports. And I believe that most Westerners have a more outgoing personality and can impress themselves emphatically in activities. They can dress and freestyle according to their preferences. In modern China, there is also an increasing emphasis on the culture of freedom and indulgence. For example, a spontaneous trip can be enjoyed without considering any stimulation brought by freedom at this moment. And in recent years, various music festivals and concerts have become increasingly popular with the aim of allowing people to enjoy the pleasure of the present regardless of everything. Okay, thirdly, constraint culture. In this part, I will introduce how traditional Chinese culture embodies cultural constraints. In Chinese culture, the so-called restraint is essentially based on the emphasis on the social order, collective interests, and moral ethics. Chinese culture takes Confucianism and as an important foundation, emphasizing moral norms such as benevolence, rightness, propriety, wisdom, and force, and attaching importance to the responsibilities and obligations of individuals in the family and society. There are three parts: family instincts, social instinct, and personal development. They all reflect the constraint culture. Finally, comparative summary. In this part, I mainly want to compare and summarize the emergence and development of these two different cultures in Chinese culture. Constraint culture. I believe that Chinese culture there are different backgrounds for the emergence of permissive culture and restrict culture. Constraint culture was more evident in ancient Chinese society. China was a country with a strong system of intellect and the relatively pushed the culture of intellect to its climax. Secondly, indulgence culture. The indulgent culture is more reflected in the modern society, especially the young people's thought are influenced by the West and different regions and become more open. At the same time, China's tourism boom has swept the internet, making the world society more dynamic. Finally, I believe that regardless of the culture, it is a product of the time. We cannot generalize whether it is good or not, so we need constantly understand and explore the most suitable way of life and environment to coexist with. That's all. Thank you for watching.